Welcome students. Our today's class is about electronic transitions involved in UV visible spectroscopy. As we know that when an electromagnetic radiation which is in the form of UV radiation, when UV radiation interacts with an organic molecule, some amount of energy get absorbed by the molecule and rest of the energy or rest of the radiation can be transmit out. Now the absorbed amount of radiation that excites the outermost electron from lower energy state to higher energy state. This process we call as transition of electron. Due to the absorption of UV radiation, there must be some transitions taken place inside the molecule. Now today's class is about what are the transitions and what transitions are allowed and what transitions are forbidden. Okay, as here I am explaining that generally transitions occur between the occupied bonding orbital or non-bonding orbital to unoccupied anti-bonding orbital. That means if suppose this is the energy profile diagram and sigma bonded electrons, this is the place of sigma bonding electrons, and this is pi and these are n bonding electrons and this is pi star. So these are the energy levels of an atom. Sigma and pi are the bonding orbitals and n is the non-bonding orbital and pi star is the anti-bonding orbital. If suppose if you take ethylene molecule, ethylene is CH2 double bond CH2. So how many electrons are present in the bond formation? Totally 4 electrons are involved in the bond formation. 2 are sigma bonding electrons and 2 are pi bonding electrons. That means you have to place 2 electrons in sigma place and 2 electrons on pi place. Okay. Now here which one is the highly occupied molecular orbital? Because occupation is present here where at the pi molecular orbital. So this pi molecular orbital is said to be HOMO, that is highly occupied molecular orbital, and the transition taken place from pi to pi star. Now pi star is considered as there is no electron is right, there is no electron present. That means it is known as unoccupied anti-bonding orbital, that is lowest unoccupied molecular orbital, that is anti-bonding orbital, that is simply called as LUMO, lowest unoccupied molecular orbital, and this pi is called as HOMO, highly occupied molecular orbital or highest occupied molecular orbital. Now the transition is taken place from HOMO to LUMO. Okay, so this is the basic idea involved in the transition. Now in the next slide we will discuss in detail. See the electronic transitions. Here I am showing sigma orbital, that is sigma bonding orbital, and here it is pi bonding orbital. This is a non-bonding orbital, pi star anti-bonding orbital, and this is sigma star anti-bonding orbital. Now here I am showing the names also. So these two are bonding molecular orbitals. Simply I am writing as BMO, and this N is non-bonding orbital, and these sigma star and pi star are anti-bonding molecular orbitals. So this is the energy. So see the energy of sigma is less and energy of sigma star is very high. If suppose you are considering an alkane, so alkane which consists of carbon to carbon single bond, is it right? That means when carbon to carbon single bond is present means two carbon atoms are shared by a sigma bond. So this is nothing but a sigma bond. Simply I am writing a simple line. So this line indicates a sigma bond. When the UV radiation fall on to the particular molecule, that is alkane is come under which category? This is a saturated hydrocarbon. Now when UV radiation interacts with a saturated hydrocarbon which is an alkane, the sigma bonding electrons, see here the sigma bonding electrons, how many electrons are present at sigma level? 2 electrons. So sigma bonding electrons that can be excited. Okay, one of the electron can be deviated or dissociated from the pairing and it may excited to sigma star antibonding orbital. Okay, this transition we called as sigma to sigma star transition, and these transitions are transparent to UV region because they are exhibited below 150 nanometers. So as we know that 150 nanometer is the range of vacuum UV region. So vacuum UV region means at the atmospheric conditions only the transitions or the absorptions can takes place. That means when propane, ethane, all these molecules are come under the category of alkanes, and this can be absorbed at the range of 150 nanometer. UV region is observed at the range of 200 nanometer to 400 nanometer. So that's why we cannot visualize these transitions. Okay, these transitions can be observed, or this transition can be captured at the atmospheric conditions only, because this transition, ultraviolet transition, that is vacuum ultraviolet transitions or absorptions, can be taken place at atmospheric conditions. Okay, so this is about sigma to sigma star transition. Next transition is pi to pi star transition. So here I am considering the molecule an alkene. So saturated hydrocarbon is over. Now I am considering unsaturated hydrocarbon. So this unsaturated hydrocarbon contain a sigma bond and a pi bond. So totally 4 electrons are present. So sigma bonding orbital contain 2 electrons and pi bonding orbital contain 2 electrons. When UV radiation interacts with such a molecule, that is a type of alkene, then the pi electrons get excited from HOMO to LUMO. Okay, highly occupied molecular orbital to lowest occupied molecular orbital. Generally, these transitions can be observed greater than 180 nanometers, almost 200 nanometer of course. That means these transitions are strong transitions or intense transitions. They can be observed in the UV region. Which transitions? Pi to pi star transitions. Now I am considering one more category, that is, okay, simply here I am writing carbon to oxygen. So carbon which is attached to a hetero atom. So simply it is coming under the category an alcohol. So when carbon atom is attached to a hetero atom, generally hetero atom contain a non-bonding electrons. Okay, so what are the possible electrons present in this compound? Here we are having a sigma bond. That means sigma bonded electrons are present. So here I am writing sigma bonding electrons. And the next one is this non-bonding electrons. So here I am placing non-bonding electrons. Yes. So when particular amount of UV radiation fall onto the molecule, simply like alcohol, there must be excitation takes place from non-bonding electrons. So non-bonding electrons get excited to sigma star antibonding orbital. So this type of transitions we called as N2 sigma star transitions. And as in the case of sigma to sigma star and pi to pi star, we can give the particular range of radiation or particular range of wavelength, but here we may not give, because depending upon the nature of the electronegative atom, the wavelength must be variable. So it must be variable. Depending upon the compound, we can discuss differently. So in the category, if I am taking an ethyl alcohol must give the transition at about 174 nanometer. If you substitute any other atom, then the value may vary or it may changes. So that's why we cannot give the particular range here. Okay, clear? Now let me come to next transition, that is N2 pi star transition. So N2 pi star transition means non-bonding orbital containing electrons get excited to pi star antibonding orbital. That means you have the arrangement like this: carbon, double bond, oxygen. If suppose you consider this carbonyl group, so carbon which is attached to a heteroatom by a multiple bond, here also carbon which is attached to a heteroatom by a single bond. Now this is under different category and this is under different category. So this one contain sigma bond as well as pi bond, and also it contain non-bonding electrons. Now let me place the electronic arrangement also. So sigma bonding electrons, pi bonding electrons, non-bonding electrons. Yes. So now non-bonding electrons which are having highly occupied or highly occupied molecular orbital. Now the transition takes place from highly occupied molecular orbital to lowest occupied molecular orbital. That means this is the transition N2 pi star transition. So like this we can give particular transitions for particular type of compounds. For saturated hydrocarbons we can expect sigma to sigma star transitions, and they are not observed in the earth because at the atmospheric conditions only the radiations get absorbed. So let we come to next category, that is alkene, that is coming under the category unsaturated hydrocarbon. So this is also a unsaturated hydrocarbon. How can you differentiate these two? This is a non-polar unsaturated compound and this is a polar unsaturated compound. A polarity arises due to the presence of a heteroatom. Here there is no polarity because two same atoms, two homotype of atoms are involving in the unsaturation. So this is a non-polar unsaturated compound which exhibits only pi to pi star transition. This is a polar unsaturated compound. There is a possibility of pi to pi star transition also because pi electrons also present here. Okay, so there is a chance of getting transition into pi star as well as pi to pi star. Because of a lower energy requirement, we consider N2 pi star. Of course, there is a presence of pi to pi star also for the case of polar unsaturated compounds. And here you see this is a compound, this is also a saturated compound and the saturation is present in between two heterotype of atoms. Carbon is different, oxygen is different. So this is a system we called as saturated hetero system or saturated polar system, and this is a non-polar saturated system. So simply two categories, saturated system, unsaturated system. In the saturated category, saturated non-polar will give sigma to sigma star, saturated polar will give N to sigma star. Now we come to unsaturation. So in the unsaturation between two same type of compound, two same type of atoms, that is non-polar, there we can expect only pi to pi star. If suppose polar unsaturated, we expect N to pi star as well as pi to pi star. So these are the possible transitions in the UV visible spectroscopy. Now let we move to next slide. See here I give the range. So the transition between bonding and antibonding orbitals are these. So there are two types of transition, of course, transition between bonding and antibonding and transition between non-bonding and antibonding. In the first category, bonding and antibonding, we get these two, sigma to sigma star, sigma bonding to sigma star antibonding. That means transition takes place between bonding and antibonding, and here also pi bonding to pi star antibonding. Generally sigma to sigma star transitions will give at the range of 120 to 200 nanometers, and pi to pi star transitions will appear greater than 180 nanometers. And the next category is transitions between non-bonding and antibonding orbitals. So non-bonding to antibonding, sigma star antibonding. Here I am not showing the particular value because it is a variable value. And this is also coming under the category non-bonding to antibonding transition. When we know the transitions taken place in the organic compound, now let us know which type of transitions are allowed and which type of transitions are forbidden. So those can be calculated or those can be known by the selection rules. So according to the selection rule, first selection rule is delta n is equal to plus or minus 1 or plus or minus 2. Then the transition must be allowed transition. That means if suppose consider an atom, if suppose this is an atom containing nucleus surrounded by circular orbits. So I am writing circular orbits. Now this one is K shell, L shell, M shell, N shell. If suppose the transition takes place, if the electron is present here, if the transition takes place from this K shell to L shell, here K, for K, N is equal to 1. For L, N is equal to 2. Is it right? That means the transition takes place from first shell to second shell. Then what must be the delta N? So if it is N1 and this is N2, delta N is equal to N2 minus N1, that is 2 minus 1, that is equal to 1. So the transition is allowed transition. If the electron that is present in K shell get excited to L shell, then it must be a allowed transition. If at all the K shell having electron is excited to M shell, now the delta N is equal to, because for K N is equal to 1 or simply N1 is equal to 1, for M shell N2 is equal to 3, then what is delta N? Delta N is equal to 3 minus 1, that is equal to 2. So 2 is also come under this. So this is also a allowed transition. If the electron present in K shell wants to excite towards N shell, then if you see here N1 is equal to 1 and N2 is equal to 4. So 4 minus 1, delta N is equal to 4 minus 1, that is equal to 3. That means 3 is not here. So delta N is not given here, that is 3 is not given here. That means the transition from K shell to N shell is a forbidden transition, and the transition from K to L is allowed, from K to M is allowed transition. So this is the first selection rule. Next come to next selection rule, that is spin selection rule. According to this rule, when the electron is excited from the ground state to excited state, the spins must be coincide, then only it must be allowed transition. If suppose this is a ground state and this is excited state, when the electron is present in ground state, when you provide certain amount of radiation, then the electron get excited to excited state. Now if the electron excited to excited state, that is excited state is again of two types, singlet excited state and triplet excited state. Two excited states are present. Here one indicates singlet state and here 3 indicates triplet state. Comparatively, this is about high energy. Singlet excited state must be of higher energy than compared to triplet energy state. Generally, the transition takes place from ground state to singlet excited state, but not triplet excited state, because when the electron is excited from ground state to singlet excited state, the spin of the electron must be retained. There is no change in the spin. Okay, so this is present in the orientation. Here also electron is present in this orientation. As we know that the spin of the electron must be half, and here also it is half. Okay, now if you want to calculate delta S is equal to, okay, excited minus ground state. So excited is 1 by 2 and ground state is also containing 1 by 2. 1 by 2 minus 1 by 2, it is 0. That means this transition must be allowed transition. If you consider triplet excited state, okay, generally if the electron excited from ground state to singlet excited state, after losing some amount of energy, the electron return back to triplet excited state by changing its spin. So, this is the spin of electron which is present in the triplet excited state. Okay, that means here the spin is changed from one orientation to another orientation. Now, here S is equal to minus half. So, this is plus half and this is minus half. If you compare the transition between ground state and triplet excited state, if suppose generally the transition may not happens from ground state to triplet excited state, if at all happens, then what it must be, just for that I am explaining. Okay. So, here the spin is minus half and here the spin is plus half. If you want to calculate delta S is equal to minus half minus half. So, totally it is minus 1. Okay, delta S is equal to minus 1, which is not here. According to spin selection rule, we must have to follow this rule. Delta S is equal to 0. As it is not coming delta S is equal to 0, this transition will be a forbidden transition. That is, ground state to triplet excited state is a forbidden transition and ground state to singlet excited state is a allowed transition. So, this is a spin selection rule according to UV visible spectroscopy. Now, let me move to next selection rule. So, this selection rule is Laporte's selection rule. According to this rule, delta L must be equal to plus or minus 1. If at all delta L is equal to plus or minus 1, then only it is allowed, otherwise it must be forbidden. Here delta L indicates it is the azimuthal quantum number. That means if you have S, P, D, F orbitals, for S orbital L is equal to 0, for P orbital 1, for D orbital 2, for F orbital 3, as we already know this. Okay. So, this is L, of course this is L1, this is L2 for our sake of convenience. Okay. If you want to know delta L, if the electron present in S is transmitted or excited to P. Okay. So, the excitation of electron takes place from S orbital to P orbital. Is it allowed or not? That can be known by using this Laporte's selection rule. So, for this case L1 is equal to 0, L2 is equal to 1. Then what must be delta L? Delta L is equal to L2 minus L1, that is 1 minus 0, that is equal to 1. So, as delta L is equal to 1, this transition must be allowed transition. Okay, clear? Now, as in the case of S to P transition, now I am exciting the electron from P to D. So, this transition is also a allowed transition, because in the P orbital electron has L value 1, and for the case of D orbital L is equal to 2. Now, delta L is equal to 2 minus 1, that is equal to 1. So, this transition is also a allowed transition. Now, consider D to F. So, when the electron transmitted from D orbital to F orbital, then it is also a allowed transition. If you want to excite the electron from S orbital to D orbital directly, then consider delta L is equal to what? Delta L is equal to L2 minus L1, 2 minus 0, that is equal to 2, which is not present here, okay, because delta L is equal to plus or minus 1, then only it must be allowed transition. If at all this is not plus 1 or minus 1, then this is a forbidden transition. That means electron present in s orbital cannot directly excited to d orbital. It has to excite to p orbital and then only it can be excited to d orbital. It cannot directly excited to d orbital from s orbital. Okay, so that's why this is forbidden transition and this must be allowed transition. And next selection rule is total angular momentum change rule. So this, according to this, a delta J must be 0 or plus or minus 1. As we know that delta J is equal to L plus S. So in the previous points, so here we know the L value and in the previous point we know that S value. If you combine L value and S value, if you get 0 or plus or minus 1, then the transition is allowed transition. If at all it is not getting, it is not is equal to 0 or not is equal to plus or minus 1, then it must be a forbidden transition. This is a total angular momentum change rule. And the last one is symmetry selection rule. So according to the symmetry selection rule, the allowed transitions taken place between the same symmetry. That means here the symmetry is sigma, here also sigma. So sigma to sigma, this is allowed. Here the symmetry is pi and here the symmetry is pi. So pi to pi, so same symmetry. So the transition taken place between same type of symmetry, then those are symmetrically allowed transitions. For the case of n to pi star and n to sigma star, there is no symmetry, okay, there is asymmetry. Even though they are coming under asymmetry or they are not coming under symmetric transitions, they are studied because of they are energy allowed transitions. So sigma to sigma star transition and pi to pi star transitions are symmetrically allowed transitions, and n to pi star and n to sigma star transitions are energetically allowed transitions, and these are sigma to pi star and pi to sigma star are completely forbidden transitions. So this is about selection rule. Next one is origin and general appearance of bands. So the origin of UV visible spectroscopy is it is due to the transition between the electronic energy levels. This is the origin. When the UV radiation interacts with the matter, absorption taken place. Due to the absorption, the energy levels or the energy of electron get transmitted from one level to another level, HOMO to LUMO. That is the origin of UV visible spectroscopy. Now let we know the appearance of bands. Once the absorption takes place, how the bond will appear or how the band will appear. For the case of gaseous sample, the molecule will give fine structure of spectrum, because in the gaseous molecule the pure sample is present. That means in the gaseous form the sample will be pure, it will give pure fine spectrum. But for the case of solutions, solution is made up of solute and solvent. That means we have to take pure solvent with the solute. If at all any contaminations are present, a solution will be contain some impurities, so that we can get broad spectrum for the case of solutions, because when the solution is pure, of course some contamination will takes place during the experimental condition. So that's why we will get a broad absorption bands generally for solutions, but the case of gases we get fine structure. and for this case only electronic absorption bands are broad as compared to IR and NMR bands, because electronic excitations means electronic excitations with respect to vibrational as well as rotational. That means excitation of electronic states will include vibrational as well as rotational. So, due to the superimposability of vibrational levels as well as rotational levels, the electronic spectra must be broad. For the case of IR, you will get only vibrational changes along with rotational changes. So, minimizing, okay, here to here you are minimizing the changes, and for the case of NMR, so there must be the spin orientation, the differentiation between the spins. That means here you will get a fine spectrum, okay. Sharp absorption bands will appear in the case of NMR. So, that is why electronic absorption bands are broad than compared to IR or NMR. So, for this case only we can consider the UV visible spectroscopy as electronic spectroscopy also, because the electronic excitations are the main phenomena here. We can call this spectroscopy as electronic spectroscopy, okay, right. So, once we know the transitions and which type of transitions are allowed, which type of transitions are forbidden, now let we name the bands, okay. When the bands appear, how to name the band? Generally for N2 pi star transitions, we will give the name as R band. R is meant for radical or TIG. So, R is meant for radical or TIG. So, this transitions can be attributed to N2 pi star, and N2 pi star transitions generally given by carbonyl compounds. So, in this category the compounds must come under our carbonyl compounds, and the absorption intensity must be very low. So, weak bands, these are weak bands, as we know that N2 pi star transitions are forbidden transitions. Now, come to next band. If at all a pi to pi star band is present, that pi to pi star band is known as K band. K is meant for conjugatory. So, for the case of conjugated double bonds, for the case of compounds containing conjugated double bonds. So, here you will have conjugated double bond. So, for this case you have pi to pi star transitions, and these pi to pi star transitions are designated as K bands, and the absorption intensity for this case is very, of course, this is equal to. So, this must be at about 10,000, okay. So, these are strong absorption bands for the case of conjugated double bonds. Now, come to next category, that is B bands and E bands. If at all you are having a system, aromatic system which contain benzene ring. So, in the case of benzene ring you are having double bonds, okay. Double bonds are localized in the ring. So, if you consider this part is nothing but ethylenic double bond. So, how many ethylenic double bonds are present? Totally 3 ethylenic double bonds are present. So, with respect to ethylenic double bond, this one gives pi to pi star transition. So, totally 3 ethylenic double bonds are present, 3 E bands will appear, or 3 ethylenic transitions will appear. In total, this system is said to be benzenoid system. So, due to the presence of this structural moiety, we have one more transition, that is a benzenoid band. So, totally for the case of aromatic systems or a benzene, we have two bands. So, in this case, for the case of carbonyl compounds, there is appearance of only one band, that is R band. For the case of conjugated compounds, we have only one band, that is K band. And for the case of aromatic compounds, there must be the appearance of two bands. Okay, two bands with the high intensity. So, this intensity varies from 2000 to 14,000. One band is due to benzenoid band and the another band is due to E band. So, this is the designation of bands. Due to the presence of two bands, we can give the evidence that yes, the compound is an aromatic compound. This is one structural evidence. By this, we can conclude the class. So, in the class, totally we are discussing about the transition involved in the UV visible spectroscopy and which type of transitions are allowed and which type of transitions are forbidden, and then we categorize the designation of bands, and also we know the selection rules. Okay. Thanks for giving this opportunity. Thank you.